And to talk about some of the big issues facing Australians, for example, grocery prices, joining me live is Australian Council of Trade Unions, or ACTU Secretary Sally McManus. Hi there, Sally. Thanks for coming on the show. So what's your beef about these claims that the big supermarkets are making that workers are getting too much money?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely disgraceful that Coles and Woolies would be blaming the lowest paid workers, some of the lowest paid workers in our country, for their profits. We believe, have been price gouging. They've been pumping up their prices to protect their profit margins. And now we can all see it. And now what are they doing? They're turning around and they're blaming the lowest paid workers for it by saying it's partly to do with labour costs, when that's clearly not the case. And I think that type of spin and deflection is frankly disgraceful, and Australians have really had enough of it.
Do you think they're actually calling for labour reforms as opposed to blaming the the lowly paid workers themselves?
Well, their representatives, the Retail Traders Association, are currently in front of the Fair Work Commission trying to cut penalty rates. So they're trying to cut the wages of already low-paid workers. And let's just get this into some perspective. Your average worker at one of those supermarkets a year, and most of them aren't working full-time, but if they were, they'd be earning around $48,000, $49,000 a year. It's a very low amount of money to try and survive on. And if you're not an adult, it's way less than that. On top of that, they're now in there trying to cut their penalty rates, which is their take-home pay, a big impact on them. So if we look at the effect of labour savings or other times where they've either kept wages low or they've cut wages by bringing in, say, automatic scanning machines, which we all do now rather than actual workers, did we see them drop their prices then? Of course not. Of course not. They've continued to protect their profit margins, and that I think that they'd be much better off just telling the truth to Australians and saying, well, you know what, we know you've been doing it tough. We're going to take a little bit of a shave now, and we're sorry for our behaviour the last 2 years, and we accept that governments are going to move because we can't be trusted to stop price gouging.
But these big retailers are, I guess, accountable to their investors foremost. So, you know, this is a free market economy. Where does this blame game end?
Well, you know, companies also have social licence too, and that, you know, customers do make up their minds about this. They do have views about it. Your average Australian has actually made up their mind about what they think about supermarkets. When we were all doing it especially tough a couple of years ago and last year at the height of global inflation, those supermarkets didn't decide to say, you know what, you know, we relied on our workers during the pandemic. We did all of that. We're going to, you know, take a little bit of a clip now to maintain our status and our goodwill. Remember that, you know, the brand for Woolworths and for Coles was like so high during the pandemic, and then it's gone so low because of the fact that they just basically exploited those conditions to pump up their profits. And so the sympathy they've got amongst, you know, average Australians is absolutely zero at the moment. And the fact that they want to continue to blame everyone other than themselves is just making that worse.
Do you see more Australians voting with their wallets when it comes to shopping for groceries, though?
Well, I mean, this is part of the problem, is that we do have a very concentrated market in Australia. That is a reality. It's also true that you can't just, you know, create competitors, especially in regional and remote areas. And so it's not so easy to say, well, we're going to break them up, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. We don't have the same, you know, number of competitors. So you've got to look at other solutions. You've got to look at particularly Australian-based solutions that put limits on how much they can increase profit margins or keep up profit margins, especially when times are tough.
Profit cap.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this is like price gouging, where they are putting up their prices to maintain or increase, we would say increase their profits at various times. They've got huge data analytics centres that basically spend all day monitoring each other and monitoring what people are buying and shifting around what their prices are all the time. They do behavioural economics to work out, where to place things, what colour to have their specials marked on, to do all of those things to try and make people feel as though that they're getting a bargain when they're not. But people aren't stupid, because when you go to your automatic machine to see how much it costs, it costs a lot more. So all the tricks in the world and all the marketing in the world isn't working. And action on price gouging is now the last solution. I would just say they've brought it on themselves. They've had plenty of notice.